Shira Kaplan, you just came back from Tel Aviv, which of course is a huge hub for cybersecurity. What are some of the latest themes that you picked up on that trip?
Right. So Tel Aviv, as you said, is very exciting with over 500 startups in cybersecurity. And what we see there is quite similar to what's happening in Switzerland with a cryptocurrency kind of hype. So we see a lot of companies that are protecting transactions around crypto environment against fraud. So kind of processing, payment processing, safe payment processing around cryptocurrencies. Other things that we see are technologies around darknet scanning, so organizations who want to know what is being said about them on the darknet. And endpoint security, technologies that are actually protecting the endpoint, giving visibility into laptops, into mobiles, what is happening on our endpoint is quite strong there as well at the moment.
So how we as consumers could potentially be affected by that.
Right. So most of the technologies we actually see there are B2B. So actually startups that are aimed at businesses, protecting businesses. So this is how businesses can get better visibility into their cybersecurity problems.
Okay, I see. Now, there was, of course, the big Equifax hack, which was huge and really reverberated around the world. And since then, I don't think there has been a major hack of that sort of enormity. Is this kind of the quiet before the storm, do you feel?
Right. So what happens with financial institutions, if we see what's happening in the last 2 years, is that they have really boosted their cyber defense budgets. So if we look at companies like banks like JP Morgan that spent $500 million on cyber defense, or HSBC, which budgeted $1 billion for cyber defense, and we also see this in the Swiss market, essentially, companies boosting those budgets. It's clear that it's much harder nowadays to hack into these institutions. So this is part of the answer. Other industries have been affected because they haven't been protected as much. So, for example, industrial companies like Maersk, the shipping company, or pharmaceutical companies like Merck have also fallen prey. But we see this not in the financial industry, but in other industries that are less protected.
Now, of course, your firm here in Switzerland, Cyvers, has done a lot of work with banks in Switzerland in terms of bolstering those cyber defenses. And a lot of what you do is sort of staging these mock attacks. And how have the banks performed in those?
Yeah, so the banks in Switzerland and the ones that we've tested are quite mature. So the situation is actually not bad, and it's probably much better than the rest of Europe. So the maturity level is quite high. The areas that we still see issues with, which nobody actually still has a silver bullet solution for, are areas around social engineering, phishing, that, employee awareness around phishing and employees falling prey to phishing transactions. And what is also growing now is a third-party risk. So banks, financial institutions don't know really how to control third parties, and they have so many third parties and vendors that are connected to their systems. So these are areas which the banks here, but also globally, are all facing.
Do they fear a big Swiss banking hack? Do they fear a major Swiss banking hack, your clients?
Do they fear? Well, I think that they're quite confident in their level of security. They're ramping it up on a day-by-day basis. The problem is that the hackers are usually faster than that. So it's always like, how much budget, how much more money do I spend? Is it enough to really keep up? It's a race. It's really a race of who is protecting themselves better. Do I protect myself better than my neighbor? Because if I do, I won't get hacked, but my neighbor will.
Indeed, it's an arms race.
It's quite like that, yes.
Now, another part of your role is that you're sort of linking up money in Switzerland and investors in Switzerland with a lot of these cyber startups that we referred to at the very beginning in Israel. Now, how did last year look in terms of linking up successfully?
Okay, so I just want to make a small correction. What we do actually is we we take cybersecurity startups, but we link their technologies and their products to Swiss enterprises, multinational enterprises. So we don't do so much investment deals, but we really do kind of technology licensing and distribution. This is really the core of our business. We are going to go into investments very, very soon, and we already partner with a big fund out of Sweden, EQT Ventures. But the focus has been these licensing deals, and there we've seen quite a good increase. If in 2016 we did just about a dozen or so of deals, in 2017, I mean, this number already went up by, I guess, 4 or 5. And I think this year, 2018, we're going to be doing over 100 different transactions. So the market is growing. There is a need for more products.
Yeah, that arms race is obviously beneficial for firms like yours.
Unfortunately, but that's reality.
That's the reality.
And if I may say just one other thing on this, I mean, everybody here is talking about digitalization, and the banks are investing, financial institutions are investing a lot in digitalization. But the success of this process will be tied to cybersecurity. Because if the digital kind of, the apps, the user environments, all digital are not safe, cyber secure, it's not going to work.
So you can't have digitization without the cybersecurity background to it.
And that also helps our business.
Yeah, so. I absolutely see. Now you, of course, also have a very glamorous background, ex-Israeli intelligence. And I just wanted to ask, out of curiosity, how does that sort of spy image help in building your firm today?
Right. So yeah, it always brings a smile to my face because in the beginning it was really a problem, and I mean people were like, "Oh yeah, you're a spy, you're ex-intelligence, are you connected to Mossad? Do you pass the information?" And I mean, obviously the answer is not. I have nothing to do with that. I think nowadays people realize that actually the best cybersecurity entrepreneurs and companies, or almost all of them, are coming out of the intelligence and cyber units. So I'm just one of 1,000 people who happen to have been in the intelligence. So I think they kind of stopped worrying recently.
Is it beneficial to the firm's image?
Well, yeah, I think that coming from the intelligence and coming from a unit where I served, 8200, which is, where Checkpoint, a large security company that everybody in Switzerland, everybody in the world uses, the firewalls of Checkpoint. I mean, Gil Schwade the founder of Checkpoint, came out of 8200. Does it make him a spy? No, it just makes him a very nice and successful entrepreneur.
All right. Very informative interview. Thank you very much, Shira Kaplan.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.